Greetings, everybody. Welcome to students working with local communities for the SDGs, examples from diverse contexts. This event is for the SDG Action and Awareness Week, placed or set up by the UN Sustainable Development Goals Internship at UC Davis with the UC Davis Global Affairs. So my name is Dinael Bedoya. I am a fourth year anthropology minoring in global studies. I am an SDG intern here at UC Davis, and I'm involved with the SDGs because I think they're the most valuable way that we can get forward as a society as a whole, and improve life for all walks of earth. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Tay Richard. I am also an SDG intern. I'm a third year at UC Davis pursuing a double major in economics and statistics. I became an SDG intern because I think sustainability is not an easy thing to pursue, and I'm trying to learn more about it so I can better understand the decisions that we all make on it and figure out what trade-offs are worth it and which ones maybe aren't. So I hope this webinar helps everyone here also gain a better perspective on these ideas.
I'm Victor Ball. I'm a senior at UC Davis in International Agricultural Development, and I am a SDG intern. I've been working with, global affairs on this because the Sustainable Development Goals are one component of a holistic development solution. It's the taking both the top level policy aspects of it as well as the really micro level community engagement programs that you start to see implemented and finding ways to wed the two together to create a solution that can benefit everybody involved. And I think that understanding that and showcasing some of these examples is integral to ensuring a proper development sphere.
Youth are recognized multiple times within the 2030 agenda. The importance of meaningful youth engagement has been elevated in the Pact for the Future from 2024, which includes a specific focus on youth and future generations. The Pact for the Future recognizes youth as agents of change and highlights their role in um, implementing the agenda. Youth is also specifically mentioned in targets for Goal 4, quality education, and Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, which is reducing the number of youth that are unemployed, not in education or in training. The process that led to the adoption for the 2030 agenda included youth organizations around the world and in development of specific goals and targets. Young people worldwide have played an essential role in this agenda from the beginning. The United Nations defines youth as those between the ages of 15 and 24 years. There are 1.2 youth aged 15 to 24 today, and half of the world's population is under 30 years old. The UN defines meaningful youth participation as an intentional process of recognizing, nurturing, and valuing young people's vital contributions as agents of positive change. It includes inclusive partnerships, intergenerational collaboration, sustained engagement, and accountability and feedback.
So today we will hear from students about their experiences working towards the SDGs in partnership with communities in multiple countries around the world. We will share how youth engagement and community engagement go hand in hand and directly support the global goals. This session will also highlight how approaches to engagement are context specific, yet they can be guided with the underlying principles of the SDGs. Leave no one behind, human rights, and gender equality. We hope that this session will also demonstrate the central importance of partnerships, listening and learning together, valuing diverse experiences and knowledge, and taking action together.
The four wonderful organizations that are joining us today are the Sacramento Youth Commission, the Global Collab Network, Earth University, and Mount Kenya University. Without further ado, we'll pass it off to our first group, the Sacramento Youth Commission, and their chair and commissioner.
All right, Commissioner Reyes Rios and Commissioner Amrit Sahoda.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Reyes Rios. I'm the chair of the Sacramento Youth Commission, and I'm currently a junior in high school and a dual enrollment student as well. So I've been here in the Sacramento area my entire life, and it's been truly an honor to grow the youth engagement here in the city and continue to do so through projects, large projects across the city that include the UN sustainability goals to ensure long-term growth and sustainability.
Hi everyone, my name is Amrit Sahota. I'm a Sacramento Youth Commissioner serving in CS underneath the mayor, and I, along with two other commissioners, fill that role. I'm really interested in public service. That's been a lifelong passion of mine, and I'm also a born and raised Sacramento native. And so when I first learned about the SDGs through the Sacramento Youth Commission, I was immediately interested because I noticed that there was a lot of overlap when it came to the work that we do as youth in Sacramento and the work that the UN is trying to do accomplished worldwide as well.
Alrighty. Would you guys like to explain how it's structured and your guys' roles and focus areas?
Yeah, of course. I can go ahead and take this question. The Sacramento Youth Commission is dedicated to representing everyone in Sacramento. This kind of touches on SDG number 10, which is reduced inequalities. The way our commission is set up is we have two representatives that serve underneath our council members for each district. We have 8 districts in Sacramento. And then we have 3 students or 3 youth in the community that represent the mayor's office, I being one of those. And so all together, we come together and we develop focus areas, which are projects or goals or some sort of mission that our individualistic groups have within the Youth Commission. So, for example, I'm part of the Community Partnerships focus area, and what its aim is to kind of broaden the knowledge and broaden the awareness of what the Sacramento Youth Commission is, what it does, how it can help youth, and then also build connections within the community with resources that kind of touch on fixing the issues that the SDGs are also concerned about, whether it be hunger or poverty or housing instability or something like employment, which is also related to the SDGs. All of that kind of falls underneath the work that we do. I'll pass it off to our chair, who is in the Sacramento Youth Voice focus area.
Yeah, so through the Sacramento Youth Voice Focus area, we truly try to, as best as possible, to reach out with our council members, local community organizations, to teach them about the Youth Commission, that they should be able to trust in the Youth Commission and come to us whenever they need to, if they have any issues that they're facing locally, in school, in any aspect that the local government can help with. The Youth Commission, we want to be trusted members of the youth that they can always have trust in and be there whenever they need us to be.
Nice. Okay, so we're gonna ask a few questions, and you guys can choose how you want to respond. What was your experience getting involved with the Youth Commission?
I can go ahead and answer this one. So, initially, when I first graduated high school, I was really focused on building a community or finding people that share the same interests or have the same level of passion when it comes to improving the community. So, I initially joined student government. Through student government, I met a variety of wonderful kind of college age youth. And I noticed that the main thing that I was hearing was that youth want to be involved. Youth want to help contribute to finding solutions to big issues, but they just don't have a bridge or they don't know where to get started. So I did some digging and I found out that our city has a youth commission. And through that, I was able to apply over the summer. And then I got appointed in October. And ever since then, I've been serving on the board. And I'm really happy with this opportunity. I think it builds connections and gives me opportunities where I otherwise wouldn't have been able to when it comes to connecting with my community and finding focus areas that I can contribute to and finding things that my contributions would be meaning to as well.
Yeah, just to add on to that a little bit, I definitely saw a lot of disparities in my community when it came to education access, civic access, being able to talk to your council members and having trust with local government in general. There was a lot of distrust when it came to how council members were seen, how the mayor was seen, different processes that go into, starting from when you speak about an issue you're concerned with to having change be seen about it. So just there was a blurred viewpoint of what happens in between them. And so I think what the Youth Commission does that's amazing is that we help clarify those blurred lines and ensure that youth what we're really trying to do is build a stronger democracy for Sacramento, for youth, and have them understand civic processes. And I think what Amr brought up was a great point about some youth having problems of being able to be in the room or at the table making decisions. A lot of the times when youth involvement is talked about, it's just a box that's going to get checked off. When in projects that we've seen with the Youth Commission, like Aggie Square, partnered with UC Davis, and even what we're doing right now is youth are on board with what's happening and having a space to speak about issues that we face and how we can make change, longstanding and meaningful change moving forward.
Could you both tell us a little bit more about how your current projects encourage youth participation in the social or economic development of Sacramento City?
Yeah,
Yeah, of
so
course.
currently, oh,
No, you can go ahead and speak because
okay.
we're both in overlapping focus areas, so either response would be good.
Yeah, so currently I'm working on a movement locally called Vote 16, which would lower the voting age locally to 16. So 16 and 17-year-olds have access to local elections. What we are truly focused on is broadening how youth get involved with local processes. Currently, when you vote at 18, you're in the process of moving to college. It's like a very hard transition. And so you're expected to just go to the polls. And they're currently we're facing a lot of it's like hard to get access to voting for many adults. But this would actually like research has shown that when youth have the ability to vote, they've done it in areas like Berkeley and Oakland already. They've actually encouraged their parents to go to the polls and vote as well. And so a big common concern is that youth would be pulled into politics and partisan disputes when actually all council members in Sacramento don't run based off of a party, but off of local issues that all youth face, whether it be access to public transportation, access to educational resources. We have access to employment. A lot of youth want to get employed, but it's hard to do so. And so having youth have access to this is truly important. And especially times when the city is in a budget deficit, the first resources that they cut are youth resources. And so what we've seen in the past and what voting was truly made for was to have those checks and balances. So moving that onto youth and having youth be at the table once again to be in these processes is truly more, focusing on especially the UN sustainability goals of 11, where we want to create these sustainable cities that not only are sustainability isn't something that's necessarily physical, but also with applies to democracy as well.
Yeah, thank you. I know you had mentioned a little earlier that a lot of your intention was to make sure that youth have a place at the table, that they are able to start thinking through these local issues, and more importantly, how what they're proposing and they're enacting can help change the community around them. How exactly do you think that your experience organizing and constructing this sort of space has helped you with your goals in the future, both, personal, professional, and in the context of the SDGs?
Yeah, so in the context of the SDGs, it's made me a more educated individual. It gives me a unique perspective that I can bring to other aspects of my life. I mentioned that I'm in student government at my college, but I'm also an after-school educator. And so when I'm interacting with my students, it also gives me a different lens to kind of look at the work that they do and what their passions are and what their interests are. And it allows me to support them in a unique way when it comes to this kind of work. And then from a personal perspective, it makes me a more mindful individual. I feel like when you're representing the city of Sacramento, that's not something that you take very lightly. It's something that kind of imbues itself into every aspect of your life, whether it be just how you function at home, whether you're outdoors, or whether you're even out and about. You have a sort of reputation and a level of respect that you need to maintain. And it kind of increases the amount of responsibility that you feel to have a positive impact in your community. So I feel like that kind of applies to both my professional and educational life as well. So overall, being involved in the Sacramento Youth Commission and learning about the SDGs has made me a more conscious individual, and It also further inspires me to keep doing the work that I'm doing and hopefully be more ambitious in the future when it comes to pushing forward measures or talking about things that concern all of us as a community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Reyes and Amrit. Next, we'll move on to Earth University students, Glar and Deborah, as they will give us an overview of their backgrounds and internships.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gloire Bambi, and I'm originally from Democratic Republic of Congo, but I live in Zimbabwe as a refugee. I'm a fourth-year student here at Earth University in Costa Rica, and I did my internship in Mauritius, an island in Africa, focusing on two aspects, which is I worked with the university in soil microbiology and also worked with an NGO called Respect in community improvement and sustainability. So we were offering different workshops and also teaching the community on how to practice good agriculture and also supporting them with the provision of seeds and other resources for them to be able to earn a living. So Earth University actually focuses on empowering young people all over the world, empowering young people, and also forming leaders of change, so that we can be able to, with enough experience, technical experience, and also community involvement, so that we'll be able to tackle and overcome the problems that are in our communities. Deborah?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deborah, and I am from the northern coast of Guatemala, and I study agriculture science at Earth University. Well, I'm excited to tell you about and share with you a little bit about my internship with local communities in Oaxaca, Mexico, at Pueblo del Sol. Pueblo del Sol is this agroecological hotel that spans around 800 hectares, mostly kept as a forest. So they promote care for the environment by using this agroforestry, growing vanilla and coffee crops. And they also avoid the using of chemicals. So they emphasize a lot on the soil conservation, and they encourage also their workers to protect the mountain and reduce their waste. Also, I want to mention that one of the most meaningful projects that Pueblo del Sol has is this community project called Montaña de Semillitas. This community program is for children ages from 5 to 12, in which I participated every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 12, in which we held workshops and combined education, fun activities, and environmental awareness, helping these children not only to develop these values, but also to develop this curiosity. And in addition to this project, Pueblo del Sol works on a range of workshops, including ceramics, vanilla production, cosmetics, carpentry, and coffee. In my case, I supported and worked on vanilla, ceramics, and cosmetics workshops, where I helped with both the production and also engaging the community. And I work really closely with them and learn different things from each other. They even taught me how to do ceramic plates. They taught me how to make shampoo and conditioner, for example. So I think that as a student at Earth, this experience helped me to see how these community projects, if it challenges some economic, even if it challenges economic challenges, can create like a long-term social and environmental impact. And by educating children, by building this awareness, we lay like the groundwork for a more sustainable future. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. So you both worked in different community contexts during your internships. What types of challenges did those communities face?
So to start with, in my case, where I was doing my community work in Mauritius, the people in the rural area or in the village where I was working with the NGO, one of the problems the young people were facing is that the lack of employment and also lack of resources to actually implement or start their own agricultural activities. And also one of the problems was that some of the people that already had their farms, they had problems with land, soil degradation. And so as for myself, I'm really passionate about soil science. So we had to work together with the NGO to come up with with solutions or alternative on how to improve their soil fertility, of which it's different in the case of the refugee camp where I'm from. We have NGOs, for example, World Food Program, we have TDH, we have JRS. They help with funding of a project for refugees in the community. But then the problem that refugees face is that, of course, they get the resources, but then they don't have the knowledge or the capacity to actually develop their project. So in this case, it was a little bit different. In case of Mauritius, they like resources and they like knowledge as well. But then in the refugee camp, they get the opportunity to get the resources, but then they don't get the skills and knowledge to implement their project.
Okay, so I wanted to add, in my case, in Mexico, they face like more logistical and economic challenges, but also the part of obtaining the resources. Like, for example, Pueblo del Sol was really far away from town. It was deep in the forest, so communication and transport was really difficult.
I was also interested in hearing what you both learned from interacting with different members of communities, especially children and youth, and maybe specifically about what some good practices are that you learned about when working with these communities.
Personally, for my community work, I was working with youth, the women, and disabled people. So in this case, what I learned personally is that as young people, myself being included, um, we are highly motivated and we are highly creative only if we are given responsibility. So we need to be given responsibility, given space, and also opportunities to us for us to showcase our potentials and also lead into different activities that we're doing. So I think for me, I learned that it's good to involve young people in decisions making or even in the ongoing project so that we also contribute as other people contributing. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add, I learned a lot about, especially about the kids. When I worked with this community project, despite all the difficult home situationships with them, I think kids just wanted to be heard, and we had a lot of patience, and we kept it, and we try to make these interactive activities and give them this awareness and environmental education, and that they can also give them a voice to be heard and to have the curiosity of try and speak in their community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In your time with your respective projects, I guess, what sort of stories have you been able to hear from the people that have participated in it? You know, your children, the students, taking the knowledge that they learned through this and bringing it beyond the initial scope of your project. You know, some sort of self-directed and, self-fulfilled, if you're able to share those sorts of things. Are there any, I guess, memorable instances that come to mind?
Deborah, you want to go first?
Oh, no, you can go. It's okay.
Okay. Right. If you don't mind, can you come again?
Oh, certainly. I guess my question to you is the members of the communities that you had mentioned, when you, I guess, finished your time and you still kept in touch, what sort of stories did they share about the things they learned? You know, whether that would have been starting an enterprise or just even something that they've been able to do around the household that wasn't hitherto available to them.
Okay, thank you. Now it's clear. Well, so I'm not in touch directly with the people in the community, but I'm in touch with the organization that I worked with. So I get the feedback from them, from the people in the community. So one of the things that we implemented when we realized that we were facing problem with soil degradation, we implemented a system called culture, which originated from Germany. It's a system that improves soil fertility, but it takes time. So when I did my internship last year, we implemented that project, that system in the village called Patua, and then right now they are already benefiting from the system because by the time we implemented it, we had to the design was to dig trenches and then put some tree branches and leaves to accelerate the decomposition. But now it's already functional and they're using the improved soil system that we provided, and it's already increasing their productivity.
Well, in my case, I stayed in contact with Pueblo del Sol. So Pueblo del Sol, sometimes they just send us photos from the kids because they continue with the project, with the community project. And also I kept contact with them because we continue. When I finished my job, I did a calendar with this whole vanilla crop maintenance. So we keep in contact and they're telling me like, what are they doing? What is the community right now doing? What sustainable things are changing and what are the challenges that are facing right now? And how my project and contributed to them and to the community to just make it better.
See, thank you. Thank you very much. Up next, we have some uh, s- leaders and speakers from the Global Collab Network. They're an organization that empowers teams globally to be change makers, particularly with a focus on the UN Sustainable Development Goals, zero hunger, and climate hubs. To, I guess, elaborate a little further, we have Anushka and Yvonne.
So I guess I'll start. So we would just like to thank you for having us here and joining this wonderful community of change makers. To start with, I would just like to talk about the Global Collabs a little bit. So the Global Collabs is obviously in itself an organization which stretches worldwide to connect youth like us on to work on issues which are bigger than us. And that is very, very important to understand within their own contexts. So what we do is we have different hubs, and in those different hubs, we talk about specific issues, and we uh, plan projects within those hubs to address those specific issues and have tangible outcome out of them. So we have so in this specific space, I'm representing the climate hub, and Anushka will be representing the food security hub. So we have advocacy projects, etc, 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 and we have multiple other projects just like that, where we have frameworks uh, which we follow and then we execute it. So I would just like to give a little bit of a background about myself and how I came to know about it and join the Global Core Labs. So I am from India, and India is an agrarian economy, and we have a lot of wildlife. I spent half of my childhood in a tropical space, and then I moved later to where I am right now, the foothills of the Himalayas, to continue my education. So within these two spaces, I saw the different drastic climate change. So right now where I am, which is in Dehradun, I saw in front of me spaces which were originally forest land, spaces which were originally actually protected, being turned into developed spaces, being turned into quote unquote better spaces. But who is it better for was a question I started asking. And that made me fall down this rabbit hole, if I may, of how climate change really affects us and affects the world around us. So I would just like to keep it up till here because I want to pass it over to Anushka to talk about food security. And I'll just talk about this more in the question itself. Thank you. Over to you, Anushka.
Thank you, Yvonne. I would also just like to say thank you for having me as a speaker as well. Just for a brief overview, I'm a high schooler and I joined the Global Collab when I was a sophomore, and I'm a senior now. So I've been working over 2 years with the Global Collab under the Zero Hunger Hub. And the reason why I joined the Global Collab was through a school project, and my friend introduced me to it. And our school project focused on food insecurity. And as I've been doing my research, as of early 2026, food insecurity in the United States remains approximately 47.9 million people, which is about 1 in 7 households who struggle to access adequate food. Um, and within the Zero Hunger Hub, what we do locally, we have 3 states that actively participate. And the one of the main ways that we actively participate is through our community gardens, where we grow our own locally sourced produce and we donate everything and any profits to our local food support organizations or food banks. Another way we contribute is through food drives, and our most successful food drive was last year during the Hearts for Hunger food drive when we collected over 90 pounds of produce, and we were able to donate everything to a grassroots organization in each of the areas, so in Maryland, in Virginia, and in North Carolina. We also implemented share tables through the Sodexo grant in DC. And with the DC Food Project, we were also able to start share tables. So share tables are just a pretty simple concept. It's if any unused, unopened food has been uneaten, they go to the share tables for other students if they don't have access to much food, so they can just grab it and take it for no cost. Um, but for our future plans, just briefly, we do plan on attending town halls so that way we can raise our voices politically outside of just advocating for people to join our cause through food drives. And yes, that's all.
Thank you both. Now, why did you decide on a food insecurity at the community level for your work? What's your project's main objective?
Yvonne, would you like to go first?
So, even though I'm not part of the food secure insecurity network, I actually work with food security a lot. So, I think I could answer that question. So, food security is something which is very imperative in India, and I'm actually the founder of Project Grow Local, which is an NGO which works with that. And I realized that when any corporation or any space in the world has control over seed, they kind of control life. So in India, we've actually had a lot of environmental land degradation due to the use of specialized seed or our land being used as um, test spaces for a lot of international corporations to kind of just see if their seed works or not. And because of that, we have lost a lot of land. Farmer suicides is a very, very big problem in India, and food insecurity is rising. So, one very important thing that I wanted to understand and put in context is that I am a high schooler. And how does this affect me as a high schooler is that if there is food insecurity, if people are hungry on the streets, that leads to national insecurity. And after speaking to policy experts, all the way from Harvard to people who've received civilian awards in my own country, I came to this very complex paradox of how we address this issue. And as Anushka talked about, in the Global Co-Labs, we have multiple projects running, and one of these are actually the community garden projects, which I think both of our hubs are collaborating on, in which we're trying to show community gardens from all around the world and show their own local produce. So the point was that we needed to mechanize our community gardens as spaces which support local varieties and which propagate these local varieties and so that people could know about it because we feel as a part of the global collabs youth network that uh, like expressing your change in the best way possible makes it reach the right people, and that's what we do through our Instagram accounts or our website. So I think Anushka could have some information to add on to this.
I think Yvonne covered a lot of the main points, but especially in the Zero Hunger Hub, as we've been doing our research, we figured out that food insecurity is not solely about hunger. It is also a systemic issue, which is linked to poverty, unemployment, and also a lack of resources in particular areas. Um, at least in my area, I know that is not as big of a problem, but other areas in the United States, more rural areas, do not have access to fresh or nutritious foods. And so a, a major like reason why I personally have focused on food insecurity at the community level is because I've always been interested in advocacy, and I feel like as we have been doing our town halls, we've been addressing racial districting, geographic locations, and other root causes that affect people's access to fresh and nutritious foods.
I was wondering if you could both maybe elaborate on the types of partnerships and collaborations that you've pursued for your projects.
Okay, I can go first. We don't, oh, so the Zero Hunger Hub has participated in the Sodexo grant, but I guess it's not necessarily a form of collaboration. It's more just like collecting money so that way we can continue our cause. But some local ways is that in Maryland, we've collaborated with the Maryland Food Bank and also the Maryland Grassroots, so that way we can donate any of our produce or any of our food drive collections to those organizations so we can further contribute to food security in our areas.
I see. I guess in this particular context, what would you describe as the greatest obstacles that you've had to overcome in order to get to where you are right now? And conversely, where do you see your respective spheres evolving in the future?
So I think I could take that. So one of the biggest issues that I think I face, along with a lot of other people within my community and who I got in contact with, is that people already presume things about you just because of your age or what you study or where you study, and they expect certain things from you, and they only take it to a certain degree because you're a student. So if the same thing which I was saying was actually coming from an adult or somebody who's actually like who's just older than me, it made a lot more sense. Even though that adult has not had any lived experience, or even though that person has not actually done anything. And as for the spears and how I see this in the future, if I understand correctly, is that we have, I think, 4 years left until the SDG deadline, because we're talking about SDGs. We have 4 years left until 2030. We are closer to midnight than ever. I think we're 85 seconds to midnight, if I'm not wrong. And we already see a lot of civil unrest all around the world. And this, I feel, is not an issue which can be limited to a certain community, which can be limited to a certain group, because the climate issue is so diverse and it has so many multi-layered processes involved in it, that every person cannot afford to lose out to be part of the climate issue. Because if we are not part of the climate issue and resolving it, we there won't be any space for us to live. So that's a very abstract and heavy note, but I'm not being able to describe the fact, because it's day zero we're talking about, and we're sitting right now in a space where there is an active conflict going on in the world, which we all know about already. So yeah, I would just like to leave off at that heavy note.
Just to add on, as Yvonne said, since we are both high schoolers, it is also hard to get recognized among higher up representatives. One example is through the Global Collab, I was afforded the opportunity to attend the HLPF, the United Nations HLPF last year, and I was able to attend subcommittees and different panels. But anytime I did, I don't know if this is necessarily the main reason, but anytime I did want to voice a concern or ask a question, I was often overlooked due to my age, compared to the representatives who seem to have more experience on those matters, even though I do also have experience with my community gardens as well. Just a smaller fear locally. It is hard to get teens who are motivated enough to start their own community gardens because there's not many funds that can go into community gardens because it costs a lot of money and it costs a lot of time as well. So moving forward, we are trying to encourage more like young advocates, but it is hard to find people who are motivated and who are willing to spend the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next, we have students from Mount Kenya University. We have Kiama and Robai.
Hello everyone. Good evening from Kenya. My name is Kiama, a third-year medical student at Mount Kenya University and campus director for the Millennium Campus Network. My community engagement focus is on SDG number 3, initiative and help for all. The initiative was born from a crisis I observed while volunteering as a Pacemaker International Fellow in the Kibera and Mkuru Kwanjenga slums in Kenya. So in these informal settlements, I saw what I like to describe as a healthcare desert. That is, thousands of people who lacked access to even the most basic medical screenings and medicines, so that could prevent life-threatening conditions. And I realized from this that we didn't need to wait for the infrastructure. We had the human resources to be able to solve this issue. And I organized the Health for All initiative to mobilize medical students and professionals to take the hospital to the people, to make it easier for the people to access this medical care. And we provide primary care, health education, and screenings directly within these settlements by bridging the gap between clinical study and community outreach. We've proven that student-led mobilization can solve the last mile healthcare delivery challenge, especially in third world countries like here in Kenya. Thank you. I'll let my assistant Rubai continue with her presentation.
Hello, I'm Robai Joan from Mount Kenya University. I'm fourth year. My project is all about creativity for self-employment, and I engage in myself in activities such as crocheting and bead making. So I have in my initiative, I offer free training to women and youth in the community since I'm very good at it. So I train women and youth in the community to do crocheting and bead making, and they are able to sell their product and earn a living through the same. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So what are some of the community problems that you became aware of and are working to address? What are your objectives and how do they relate back to the SDGs?
Okay, I'll go first. So the first question, what community problems did you become aware of? So the primary problem was the total lack of preventative care in the informal settlements in Kenya, such as Mkuru-Kwanjenga and Kibera. People only sought help when a condition was terminal. Our objective is to shift the focus to early detection and health literacy, aligning directly with SDG 3.8, which is achieving universal health coverage. And the lessons we've been able to learn from this and let's share with other fellows organizing similar projects is that clarity of mission is key. When you ask a busy surgeon or a tired student to volunteer, they need to know their time will have a direct, measurable impact. Organization and respect for their professional time are what keep our teams coming back to volunteer and help the society. And how these projects have evolved since the time we started it till now. We are moving towards a sustainable clinic model where instead of just pop-up events, we want to create a permanent network of student-led health advocates who are embedded in these communities for the long term. Now I'll let my assistant give her project.
As for me, the main problem that I encountered was unemployment. And since I'm fighting towards SDG number 1, which is zero poverty, I was able to identify that unemployment is the main problem that they are facing in the community. So I worked hard enough to ensure that we are working towards the same. Thank you.
Could you both share what some of the main challenges you have faced in your volunteer and project work are?
Okay, so I'll go first. The main challenge in my project was building trust in these high-density informal settlements. These are people who believe they've been let down by the system, let down by the government. So whenever somebody comes and says they want to help them, they are obviously paranoid. They are obviously cynical. So building that trust with them so that they let you help them is the main issue we faced. And then obviously there's the logistical challenges when doing a health initiative. And we overcame the first issue on building trust by partnering with, okay, in Kenya, we have community leaders. We call them Nyumba Kumi leaders. So these are local community leaders who the community knows, the community trusts, the community respects. So we work with them to ensure our volunteer teams were recognized as allies and not outsiders by the community. And for the logistical issue and the security factor, we worked with the community to solve this because they have the mechanism as volunteers from the community. So one person says they have a car that they'll help us transport the medication with. Another person says they're free on that day, so they'll help with organizing the security. As long as you build that trust, the community then helps you to organize these events after they know that these volunteer services will help them and it's for their own good. So yeah, those are the main challenges and how we solve them.
As for me, the main challenge that I had was money. Since crocheting needs thread and beadwork needs beads, and they are bought with money. And since I'm working with those people from those vulnerable community members, so they are not able to buy them, so they need money. That's the only challenge that I had. Thank you.
In both of your projects, you're describing a multidisciplinary circumstance. You have an intersection of both, community, labor, policy, all very holistic fields. How, in these circumstances, do you find yourself working to both intersect these community needs and the sustainable development goals? And perhaps more importantly, ensure that the communities that you work with are able to both develop their own methods for bridging holistic solutions as well as retain them after your projects.
Okay, I'll go first. So about the multidisciplinary framework, to achieve health for all, as the initiative is titled, in informal settlements like Kibera, we had to move beyond the clinic. We operate at the intersection of medicine, community, labor, and social policy. So the first part, the basics, the foundation, the medical layer, This is where we provide the diagnostics and the primary care, but we realize that a prescription is useless if the patient's environment doesn't support their recovery. And this leads us to the second layer, labor and the human resource layer. So we coordinate community labor by mobilizing medical students and professionals. This isn't just volunteering, it's a professional workforce management strategy. We are training a new generation of doctors to be community aware, ensuring that the labor force of the future understands the realities of poverty. And last but definitely not least, the policy and advocacy layer. So we look at why these healthcare deserts, as I like to call them, exist in the first place. By collecting data through our initiative, we advocate for social policy changes. We aren't just treating the symptoms, we are gathering evidence to show policymakers that the current last mile delivery systems are failing. They're failing the people, they're failing the constituents who they sought to protect, who they sought to serve. And by doing this and providing a proven model for how to fix them, we believe we'll be able to provide a long-term solution to the problem. So in summary, the key talking points, a holistic response means recognizing that health is tied to housing, is tied to sanitation, is tied to economic status. So when we go into Mkurukwanjanga, we don't just bring stethoscopes. We bring a team that fully understands how to navigate the social hurdles that prevent a mother from getting her child vaccinated, for example. And by integrating this field, we move from charity to sustainable system building, something that can last. And finally, as I finish up, I'm also a director in the Millennium Campus Network. And in the Millennium Campus Network, we call it the Genomics for Impact. So taking the micro level science, what you learn in class, and applying it to the macro level, the actual ground, the social challenges. So you cannot solve for the SDGs in a silo. You cannot just learn about the SDGs in a classroom and solve them from there. You have to work where these fields intersect. You have to go to the field and get your hands dirty. Thank you.
As for me, the acquiring crocheting and beadworking skills, those ones are permanent skills. And with their skill, you can make an income. And when you earn an income, it leads to a zero poverty. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you both. Now we're gonna open it up for a Q&A for anybody who has any questions. This includes the audience as well.
I do see a question in the chat that you could probably answer. It's what are the as is in the Q&A section is what are the SDG interns doing to support local communities and what challenges do they face in supporting these local communities?
Yeah, so the SDG interns focus on communities in UC Davis and the city of Sacramento. We work on building relationships with organizations such as the Sacramento Youth Commission and including the ones to create this event. We mainly focus on highlighting projects that are around our community and kind of connecting the SDGs where those people working on projects don't exactly realize that they're connecting with the SDGs and making sure that they know what they're fighting for without probably realizing it.
Yeah, I'd also like to add on to that. One thing that we're helping participate with is a waste audit at the university. So seeing how the waste from some of our campus restaurants are diverted, if they're being diverted to the places where they're supposed to be, or if maybe that's something the university could improve, and also seeing if our program where we are providing students with reusable containers is actually working, and if not, what we can do to help that work out a little bit better.
Yeah, and even on the municipal level, SDG's been able to help spread knowledge beyond the campus. As you're likely aware, the city of Sacramento has recently conducted a voluntary local review of their own city, which was done with the assistance of our SDG group. It's a collaboration that's been wonderful, and it's something that we continue to work with on this very day to the point where they have a chapter of their own. So, not only kind of taking and consolidating and organizing events like this, but also helping to put some of those actions into practice.
All right. Any questions for our speakers? I did have one for Anushka and Yvonne from Global Collab. Originally, you guys mentioned there being a struggle for recognition in spaces where change is being created. I wanted to know if is there anything that you have done, or how do you mitigate that kind of lack of recognition? How do you work around it?
Anushka can go first. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so at the HLPF, one way that we did go around that barrier is the Global Collab has hosted our own side meeting, and we have talked about the issues among each of the hubs, so like the Zero Hunger Hub, the Climate Hub, and any of the other hubs participating under the Global Collab, and we hosted our own panel where we discussed what we've been doing, what we plan to do, and then any issues moving forward and any plans moving forward. So that is just one way that we have overcome that challenge.
So adding on that is from personal experience, I feel that getting your communication skills stronger and more coherent is something which is like a never-ending goal. But as youth, you can kind of do that. There's multiple elements which you can kind of add to that. One of these is public speaking, communication, and debating is something which personally helped me a lot, and taking exams which kind of deal with communication and watching people communicate their climate issues in a certain way. So for this very subject, some people that I really think everybody in the world hears is Dr. Jane Goodall, Dr. Vanna Shiva, and all of these are world-class speakers, and all of them know how to communicate their issues. And if the communication of issues is done properly, I think the issue is much better amplified. It's almost like that concept of science, right? Where if there is no value of research and science at the end of the day, if the idea, if the result of it can't be communicated to society properly. So I think the same thing applies in the climate movement more now than ever, as I mentioned, with how we are moving forward and we're closer to our due date.
Awesome, thank you. And then we do have one question from the audience for our Mount Kenya University students. This person is asking, what are the ways that the university can use to integrate the community service learning into the curricula?
Yeah, I believe I can take this question. So, I believe the question you've asked is how the university is involved in including these SDG goals and awareness in the curriculum. And yeah, I believe this concept is called institutionalization, and it's actually a key focus of Mount Kenya University. So, for example, let me use my course, medicine. So, at Mount Kenya University, we are advocating for the transition of community work from an extra activity to a core academic requirement. So in medical education, which I'm a part of, we have something called community-based education and service. So by integrating, for example, in my project, the Health for All initiative, I was able to enroll a lot of the medical students into the initiative, and upon finishing their volunteering, they were able to get extra credit for that. Now, this encourages a lot of the students to engage in such activities. So a lot of the students have helped me in my work in Kurukwanjenga and the other slums because of the extra credit system that the school has. And second of all, in one of your questions, we talked about the multidisciplinary model that we are using. So this has been facilitated by the university. For example, we have law students who help us with the labor laws that we're encountering. We have engineering students who tell us about sanitation infrastructure, and medical students us who handle primary care. So the university facilitates this interprofessional collaboration, a skill that is essential for achieving the SDGs. And then finally, the school has incorporated the Millennium Campus Network, which focuses on the SDG in its accreditation at the end of the year, which gives a measurable academic achievement, pushing for, okay, it's something we're pushing for, something called impact credits, where the work we do in these slums and the different projects that different students are doing is recognized as formal research and leadership training. So this incentivizes students to prioritize the SDGs as part of their degree path. So the goal is not to have students do charity on weekends, just something to share in a piece of paper, is to graduate as socially accountable professionals. So by integrating community engagement into the curriculum as our university, Mount Kenya University, is doing, the university ensures that when we graduate, we aren't just doctors or engineers, we are citizens who already know how to solve the systemic challenges facing our nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, our session today is concluded. Students working with low community for the SDGs, examples from diverse contexts. Just a big thank you to our speakers today from the Sacramento Youth Commission, the Earth University, Mount Kenya University, and the Global Collab Network. And yeah, thank you guys and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
Thank